Do you have like kind of like an imposter syndrome kind of thing? Like it feels like you know it's you, and like your mom says it's you, but like does it seem like it's you?
Sometimes, I mean, yes, I know it's me. I'm like, that's a good looking baby, so that's got to be me, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I can't believe it because this is all I know is having my leg amputated. Me, I still get phantom pain even though my amputation was over 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's the word, phantom pain.
Yeah, I still get it,
Yeah.
and not as often or as long. So I get it maybe every other month, and it only lasts about 2 minutes. But sometimes, because I live in New York, it
Huh.
might be in the middle of traffic, and I get my phantom pain, and I have to take my leg off
Oh no.
immediately. And I notice that when I'm stressed out, mostly that's when it comes.
Big mental capacity to it that you have to like say like, hey, life isn't over, like gotta like start like the healing process. Like is there a lot of like pep talk, I guess?
Yes, and I'm sure you know this from your own community. Is not you can't help everyone, right? And at first, I didn't realize that
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to help everyone and I wanted everyone to walk. But I realized, like you said,
Yeah.
that mental component up here, not everyone wants to walk again or has the family support or resources. So I try to
Mm-hmm.
give confidence early. We've studied that while someone is about to have surgery or just had surgery, if we can give them confidence, even in the hospital, that when they leave, they'll believe that they can walk again. But that's not always the case. But we try as much as possible to show people, hey, other people walk, other people go to work. You can do it too.
I have like the weirdest motivational thing that it's all someone has to do is to call me like a little bitch, and then I just do it because I'm not a little bitch,
That's it.
you know.
Well, I
I'm
say it to
have a very
myself. That's what I say to myself. I'm like, all right, Rob, don't be a little bitch. We got to push through this. And
exactly like I feel like we need that more in our life. Like we need some of like that negative push to you because some people are like, it's okay, like, take your time. But no, I kind of need that push of like, are you a little bitch? No, you gotta push through. Like, you want life to end right now?
physical therapy or exercise, keeping our bodies moving as much as we can is the important. And that is not only for our bodies, but that's for our mind. Movement and mobility is important because that's what our bodies are made for. But our minds are overstimulated with the internet and things that we see. So we got to try to
Mm-hmm.
keep ourselves healthy. So I always push that to anyone, not even someone in a disability community. Health and exercise, any type of movement and mobility, me are the most important factors. That's what has kept me from my depression and some of my own struggles is movement and mobility.
Like, is it like easy to walk with a prosthetic? Or,
So one, of course, it depends on if you have other health issues, right? So let's say how healthy is
yeah,
your other leg to balance on, and if you have
okay.
strength. But yeah, if you're completely healthy, you just lost your leg. Yes, it's fairly easy to get into the leg. There's parallel bars and physical therapy, and it should take you a week or two to
Mm-hmm.
just adjust. If you have other health issues
Okay.
where you don't have strength in your arms to balance on the parallel bars at first, or your other leg isn't as strong, then it does take some time to kind of build up that capacity. And that's where we come in. That's where we try to
Okay.
help and assist and again build up the strength around the rest of your body so you can push yourself.
If I need to buy a prosthetic like, is there a catalog of thing, or I to get one prosthetic and then deal with it?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. For prosthetics, there's different companies, and the prosthetic companies we actually only make like the socket, right? So if I'm going to show you my leg, I'll show you my leg right
Okay.
now. So we actually make
Okay.
the
Okay.
socket, this piece right here.
Okay.
The components and the feet where they go into those there are other companies and the sleeves that make these sleeves. And when you come to a prosthetic
Okay.
company, you're going to tell us about your life. Hey, I like to go grocery shopping, I go in an airplane, I drive a car. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever your life is, we're going to order the type of foot sleeves and things that are going to support your life.
So I guess it may be like controversial, but do you have like a competitive advantage over runners that have both legs?
No, I do not. So it's funny that you say that. Some people say that if you're missing both your legs and you have two blades, then you might have an advantage because there's two blades that you're pushing off of. But I'm a unilateral amputee, meaning I have a prosthetic on one side, I have a sound leg or a real leg on the other side, and it's really hard to try to make them equal. So there is no advantage having the blade. It's actually, you have to be thinking instead of just running, let's say. But I have to work extra hard to be as fast as I am.
I could say you have one less to work out because the other leg is good to go.
Nope. I wish it was that way, but it's actually the complete opposite. And if you're not conscious of it and you're only missing one leg, a lot of the times you will put more weight on your real leg, which then ends up hurting, opposed to using your.
Ah.
So that's why you have to be constantly thinking about it almost every step.
So like, what do you think is the biggest hurdle for anybody to get a prosthetic leg?
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate enough to run a nonprofit with a great friend of mine. His name is Rob Shulman, based out of Queens, New York. He started this organization called LimCon and brought me into it from day one. And what we do is we help kids all around the world who aren't able to afford these prosthetic devices, which range from 10 to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And
Oh my
we've gone to
God.
Philippines, we've gone to Africa, we've gone to Haiti, and we raise money in the United States. And we go and we make these prosthetics, custom prosthetics for these kids. Where I've met kids who've gotten their legs bitten off by hyenas or
Oh
machetes
my God.
and have been in the most unseen, horrific situations.
Hello, welcome to my podcast, Two Mics, One Joe Suits. I am Joe Suits, and I'll be giving a mic to Robert. Robert is an amputee athlete and motivational speaker. He has a birth defect called Fibular Hemimelia, which led to an amputation at 10 months old. He is a certified prosthetist who founded the Limb Kind Foundation to offer prosthetics to underprivileged kids. So what was harder growing up? Not having a father figure growing up, a victim of abuse, or a house fire?
Oh man, I think all three for me were just tough. There's no one thing that was harder than the other. I think that any of the battles that we face as people shape us into who we are. And so I'm thankful for
Mm-hmm.
every struggle that I've been a part, but I wouldn't say that any one or other has changed. I think collectively they all have helped make me stronger, and have affected me in a positive way, even though they might have been negative situations.
So, like I mentioned, that you were amputee since the age of 10 months. I'm assuming I don't remember anything at 10 months at all, or even till like the age of 2. So, like, do you really remember having 2 legs, or is it kind of like, oh, I was always just had 1.5 legs, I would guess you would say?
Yeah, I don't remember it at all. I don't remember anything from 10 months either. But I do, there's like photos. So my house did burn down, so we lost a lot of the photos of me when before my
Okay.
amputation. But there is like two or three photos that my mom has, and I see like my little foot before the amputation, but I don't remember it.
Uh,
But it is kind of cool and unique to see the photo of actually, before my surgery as a baby. But this is all I know is my amputation.
Eh, do you have like kind of like an imposter syndrome kind of thing? Like it feels like you know it's you, and like your mom says it's you, but like does it seem like it's you?
Sometimes, I mean, yes, I know it's me. I'm like, that's a good looking baby, so that's got to be me, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I can't believe it because this is all I know is having my leg amputated.
Yeah, so like I know like people that get amputated later in life, they have like the um yeah, what do you call it? They feel like they have a leg but they don't. But since you had it at such a young age, like do you have any like sensation that you have a leg missing, or does it feel just like a normal, like you don't feel like you ever lost a foot?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sue. So, I mean, for me, I still get phantom pain even though my amputation was over 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's the word, phantom pain.
Yeah, I still get it, and not as often or as long. So I get it maybe every other month, and it only lasts about 2 minutes. But sometimes, because I live in New York, it
Huh.
might be in the middle of traffic, and I get my phantom pain, and I have to take my leg off
Oh no.
immediately. And I notice that when I'm stressed out, mostly that's when it comes.
You're actually my first amputee guest out of 120 guests,
Let's
which is
go.
kind of insane. I know, right? But it's insane. I never did had an amputee guest, but I never heard of. I heard of phantom pain. That's really awesome, but I never heard of you like having to like take your leg brace off. I feel like it's something kind of like I always kind of think of it like an itchiness kind of feeling, but maybe like a little more severe. But it is like something that where you just have to like stop and like sit down and let it ride.
Yeah, I mean, there's times you can kind of fight through it in the setting, but it
Hmm.
makes you really uncomfortable. You can't really focus. So I have to actually take my leg off and rub like the bottom of where the foot would be. I have to rub it
Ah,
and massage it a little bit
okay.
because it doesn't feel great at all.
So I'm guessing it's just like some nerve thing. Do you ever put,
Yes, sir.
well, since I'm sure it's like closed up together, but do you feel like if you put like vape rub or something, like does it affect it at all, or is it kind of like a closed, something like you put on your hand that you would never feel anything?
Yeah,
Or
no,
is it like
just rub it.
sensitive?
No, not put. I don't put anything on it unless I'm like sleeping. I use like Aquaphor or certain liquids.
Okay.
But for the most part, no. Just rubbing it when I get phantom pain, it'll do it.
I mean, it's the concept of it is really weird how your body will still think you have something even though it's been, you say you were 36, so like 35 and 2 months of no leg and your body is still wanting to give you like, hey, there's something missing here,
Yeah.
like what's going on?
Yep, yep. And that's why I said I think anxiety and stress trigger it. I work in the prosthetic industry,
Hmm.
and it's very similar to my patients as well. Anxiety and stress can kind of trigger those nerve endings and make you uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, so let's talk about like your prosthetic business. Like, is this something you always wanted to do, or is it like did you go into prosthetics when you were younger, or is it something like later in life where you started your charity and you wanted to like start helping other people?
Man, amazing question. So, I personally did not always want to get into the prosthetic industry. I was a sales guy. I did
Yeah, I
customer
had a
service.
feeling you didn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the phones. I wanted to make a lot of money, and I didn't know, well, I don't have a college degree. I went to college, but I didn't graduate with any specific degree. And as someone with a disability, I wasn't sure of what my future would be. And I met
Hmm.
someone who told me that I should get into the industry. I actually went and saw a patient when I was about 22 years old in the hospital, and it changed my life. I tried to help that patient, and from there, it changed my mindset that I wanted to work in this field. And I didn't have a degree, so I had to figure out a way to build up my resume. So I did that with experience and with education and being hands on. Then I was able to get a job by the time I was 25, and now I've been working professionally in the industry for almost 11 years.
So when you say you're prosthetic, so I'm assuming that you do so you take someone's leg and you make like a cast out of it, and then you, like how hands-on are you? So you meet the patient, you do a cast of their arm, and they like, or whatever limb they're missing, and then you like send it out, or do you do all in-house for you? Like how is that process for you?
Yeah, so for me, I work for Hanger Clinic, which is where I also go
Okay.
for my prosthetics. I didn't always work there. I used to work at a different provider as well. And so I'm
Hmm.
not a prosthetist. What I do is I'm a care coordinator. So I actually cover 4 states. So I'm a regional care
Okay.
coordinator, cover Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and I help the vascular surgeons with their patients pre and post surgery. And then I assist those patients and the nursing staff to help that patient while they're healing. And then when they go to like a rehab, and I assist them with the protector we give them while they're healing and making sure they're following up with their doctor visits. Once they're fully healed, I get them into
Okay.
one of our offices so they can see the prosthetist. They make the socket and they fabricate over their limb that cast. And then we do send them out. We have an in house office in New York, but we have several around the country. And then we get that patient back their leg, and I help them learn how to walk again. I work with physical therapy. And then sometimes I train that patient to go into the hospital and meet patients after their surgery too.
Man, that seems like a lot of work for you. Like that seems like you need a whole team to do that.
I do. Luckily at Hanger, we have an amazing team. You need a whole team to help you from start to finish. And that's one of the great things about us is
Yeah.
that we have a great team here in New York.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So like, so I'm assuming that anyone could be amputated for any number of reasons. So like, how long does it take from like, let's say the surgery or whatever, you get amputated to when you actually get the leg? Because I know you have to wait for like the scars to heal and such. Like, how long is that process for?
Yeah, I mean, so for everyone, it's a different time length because they might have gotten to a car accident and they might be young, or cancer, or diabetes. So one, age does play a
Mm-hmm.
factor, and health and nutrition on how fast your body heals. But the general
Yeah.
amount of time is about 4 weeks, let's just say, for healing, and then it takes us about 4 to 6 weeks
Okay.
after that to get your prosthetic. So usually after surgery, if it's a great case and you heal fast, you can be up and walking within 2 months after surgery, depending on how fast you heal. Some people heal faster and some people heal longer. But then once you're healed, we can usually get you your leg in about 4 to 6 weeks or arm.
Yeah, I feel like the physical leg part, I think the easy part, but I think like the mental part, I think it's really hard. Like, how do you tackle that? Because I didn't know just losing any limb could be really hard for anyone, and then just like wanting you to do anything because like you don't want like I'm sure you meet a lot of people who are like I don't want to walk anymore, like life is over, stuff like that. So like is there like a big mental capacity to it that you have to like say like, hey, life isn't over, like you gotta like start like the healing process. Like is there a lot of like pep talk, I guess?
Yes, and I'm sure you know this from your own community. Is not you can't help everyone, right? And at first, I didn't realize that
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to help everyone and I wanted everyone to walk. But I realized, like you said,
Yeah.
that mental component up here, not everyone wants to walk again or has the family support or resources. So I try to
Mm-hmm.
give confidence early. We've studied that while someone is about to have surgery or just had surgery, if we can give them confidence, even in the hospital, that when they leave, they'll believe that they can walk again. But that's not always the case. But we try as much as possible to show people, hey, other people walk, other people go to work. You can do it too. To show them, I walk in missing my leg and showing them, hey, you can do this and we're here to help you. But again, that's not for everyone. So, but we try to help as many people as possible. But some people do give up. And that's when I actually, let's say if it's a woman, I'm not a woman, right? And let's say
Yeah.
60 years old, I'm not 60. I have a network of women that I try to connect her with so she can get the female
Okay.
perspective. Maybe that will help her mental. So there's things like that that we'll do to try to help someone mentally overcome the struggle, and maybe that gives them the confidence to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, that's really smart to do. Like, I have like the weirdest motivational thing that it's all someone has to do is to call me like a little bitch, and then I just do it because I'm not a little bitch,
That's it.
you know?
Well, I
I'm
say it to
have a very
myself. That's what I say to myself. I'm like, all right, Rob, don't be a little bitch. We got to push through this. And
exactly like I feel like we need that more in our lives. Like we need some of like that negative push to you because some people are like, it's okay, like, take your time. But no, I kind of need that push of like, are you a little bitch? No, you gotta push through. Like, you want life to end right now because, there's so much of the world to see. And like, I mean, also, if you, let's say you have two legs and you lose a limb, I would kind of want to walk because like, I know like we're all supported by wheelchairs and like they're so great, like you can wheel around and such. But like, if I can not use my wheelchair and just walk on my own, like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like, what do I have to do to get there? Like, holy shit. Like, you don't want to be independent. Like, what's wrong with you?
again, it's everyone learns differently, and as you know, this is a very sensitive time. So you can't say,
Hmm.
as much as you could 10
Hmm.
years ago of the times that we're in. And everyone is motivated differently. Like, I like a good drill sergeant, right? Like, don't be a punk, keep
Yeah.
pushing. But not everyone, kind of takes information like
Yeah.
that. They break down and shut
Hmm.
down. So trying to figure out how you can motivate different people and navigate through some of the struggles they may have is the key.
Yeah, I think it's also sometimes you don't know what their style is too with done and how, but also I think it's a little difficult for you because you're representing a company and the last thing you want them to call them and be like, hey, the guy was calling me a little bitch and I don't appreciate that. Like I know your intentions are really well,
Exactly.
but when someone says it on the phone, it doesn't come up. That your boss might not hear it the same way,
Yeah, well, I
and
would.
then
Yeah, I would.
you
I
get
wouldn't
called
ever
into
say that to a
HR.
patient, but I do say it to myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think we need more of that. Like, that's why I try to kind of bring with the disability community is just that negative kind of talk a bit. I think it like helps the most, and I feel like in life we have to be a little toxic to do things. If we're just positive and stuff, it's just not gonna work out in the end, and everyone's just gonna be lazy. And it's like I don't think we're like think. like I don't have a prosthetic. I don't think I ever will. But like it doesn't really stop after the leg too. Like you're gonna say more, but you know once you get the leg, it's over yet. Like you still have to learn how to walk. To like talk to me how long does it take to start walking? Because I also know like it can be painful putting a leg on and such. And like, how do you know? Like, I know like people when they put the prosthetic on it for the first time, like it hurts a lot, and I can understand why. But like, how do you differentiate hurt that could hurt, like it's supposed to hurt, but like okay, maybe there is something wrong with this pain, like it shouldn't be hurting this much.
Yeah. So a few things you said. I think one, I always encourage, and it's not even just an amputee, and not even someone with a disability. In any world and community, like physical therapy or exercise, keeping our bodies moving as much as we can is the important, and that not only for our bodies, but that's for our mind. Movement
Hmm.
and mobility is important because that's what our bodies are made for. But our minds are overstimulated with the internet and things that we see. So we got to try to
Hmm.
keep ourselves healthy. So I always push that to anyone, not even someone in a disability community. Health and exercise, any type of movement and mobility, to me are the most important factors. That's what has kept me from my depression and some of my own struggles is movement and mobility. And for someone who's
Hmm.
getting a new prosthetic, when they put that prosthetic on for the first time, it's gonna feel weird, I tell them. And like,
Hmm.
wow, what am I doing in here? It should feel irritable, but not painful. If there's pain, something's
Okay.
wrong. But irritable, of course, right? Like it's like putting on a new shoe. When people put on new shoes, it might be tight because the shoe is not broken into your foot yet. But after a while, it starts
Hmm.
to break in. Your foot gets used to the shoe gets used to your foot. That's kind of how a prosthetic is. But if there's something wrong, if you got pain, that might not be your right size shoe. Same thing with your prosthetic. If there's pain, something might be wrong. So our bodies get used to the irritation, but it shouldn't have to get used to pain.
I'm sure it's a little different for you because you don't know what it feels like to not have a prosthetic, and all of a sudden you just have this new leg. So I wonder if it's less of a, I guess, freak out when you, let's say you had a surgery like 2 weeks ago and you put another leg on and you're walking. Is it as less of a freak out since you kind of never lost the ability to walk? 'Cause I know there are people that didn't walk for years and then all of a sudden they're just walking again. I can understand how that's really hard to do. But is it like easy to walk with a prosthetic or
So one, of course, it depends on if you have other health issues, right? So let's say how healthy is
yeah?
your other leg to balance on, and if you have
Okay.
strength. But yeah, if you're completely healthy, you just lost your leg. Yes, it's fairly easy to get into the leg. There's parallel bars and physical therapy, and it should take you a week or two to
Hmm.
just adjust. If you have other health issues
Okay.
where you don't have strength in your arms to balance on the parallel bars at first, or your other leg isn't as strong, then it does take some time to kind of build up that capacity, and that's where we come in. That's where we try to
Okay.
help and assist, and again build up the strength around the rest of your body so you can push yourself.
No, I mean I think that for come the that's like the time where I need drill sergeant to help me like get to the other end of like the bar because yeah, I think it comes back to the mental health thing. Like the physical is fine, like I get it, but the mental sometimes it's a huge mental barrier for a lot of people, and I can understand how difficult that is. To like walk me to like, are there different? Well, you're an athlete, so maybe it's a little different, but are there different kind of legs I can like shop at to like if I need to buy a prosthetic leg? Like, is there a catalog of thing, or I to get one prosthetic and then deal with it?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. For prosthetics, there's different companies, and the prosthetic companies we actually only make like the socket, right? So if I'm going to show you my leg, I'll show you my leg right
Okay,
now. So we actually make
okay,
the
okay,
socket, this piece right here,
okay,
the components and the feet where they go into those. There are other companies and the sleeves that make these sleeves. And when you come to a prosthetic
okay.
company, you're going to tell us about your life. Hey, I like to go grocery shopping. I go in an airplane. I drive a car. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever your life is, we're going to order the type of foot, sleeves, and things that are going to support your life. We make the socket, then we're going to get the other parts. It's almost like a car where we're going to get the tires from here,
Okay.
the insides, the leather from somewhere else, port you best. And that's how we make it. And to go back, what you were saying for people who are older who lose their leg, it is a tough transition. And that's part of educating people and making sure that they know what they can do and they're able to see it. If you had your leg for 40 years and then all of a sudden you lost it, letting them know by living proof that people are able to go back to work, to walk again, and that technology has changed, and that technology will support you in whatever it is that you want to do as an amputee and as a contributor to society.
So like, I know you're an athlete, so I don't know anything about it. So like, what's the difference between like your prosthetic and like the one that have like the metal like springs, I guess you would call
Yeah,
it. I don't know how.
yeah. So
Like,
give me a second. I'll show you my leg. Hold on one second. My other leg.
okay, I like this show and tell.
So
Yeah, I want to definitely see it in person when I see you. Like, I
yeah,
never dealt with
so
a prosthetic
yeah, so that was
before.
my regular leg. So I'll show you again. So again, there is a difference. This is my
Okay.
everyday walking leg, right? And I put this on,
Okay.
and then this would be a leg that I use kind of for running, right? And it has a
Okay.
blade.
Yeah.
So definitely there are different legs that you might use for different activities. And when I'm running, I will want to use a blade because I can get more spring off the toe. But if I'm playing
Okay.
basketball or something regular, I can use this leg. The foot is very active and kind of to your point, the spring, where we say is like energy return, meaning how much energy return we get from the
Okay.
foot, is very good now. The technology has changed a lot, so I'm supported in all my activities, with my prosthetic.
So the only difference is like the part that touches the ground is different, but like the way your leg fits into it is basically the same.
Exactly the same. This socket is the same as my other socket, but the foot part and where I push
Okay.
off is different.
So I guess it's maybe like controversial, but do you have like a competitive advantage over runners that have both legs?
No, I do not. So it's funny that you say that. Some people say that if you're missing both your legs and you have two blades, then you might have an advantage because there's two blades that you're pushing off of. But I'm a unilateral amputee, meaning I have a prosthetic on one side, I have a sound leg or a real leg on the other side, and it's really hard to try to make them equal. So there is no advantage having the blade. It's actually, you have to be thinking instead of just running, let's say. But I have to work extra hard to be as fast as I am.
Okay. So when you say equal, what do you mean equal in terms of like height or like
Height,
just amount of effort?
weight, effort, distribution. If the ground isn't level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every little bit, as an amputee who's missing only one leg, you have to be able to just navigate through any type of muddy waters or terrain as it changes depending on where you might be, competing.
No, that's crazy to think about and hear. Like, yeah, it just seemed like the same advantage. Yeah, the way you were describing it, that it gives you like bounce back up. So I just when you hear that, you just think, oh, like he's getting more energy and he's saving more energy, and I could say you have one less to work out because the other leg is good to go.
Nope. I wish it was that way, but it's actually the complete opposite. And if you're not conscious of it and you're only missing one leg, a lot of the times you will put more weight on your real leg, which then ends up hurting, opposed to using your.
Oh,
So that's how you have to be constantly thinking about it almost every step.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure after like a workout, it must be brutal taking. It must be brutal the part of the leg that's missing because you're putting so much weight on it, but it's just like a weird, like I guess it's not natural for it to be in a socket, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
it's not
it's
evenly distributed because
yeah.
I'm sure your thing is like rounded and it's very hard to have something rounded be evenly pressured.
Yes, sir. And when you take it off, to your point, it's almost like taking off, your shoes at a long end of the day. You're like, oh,
Mm.
glad glad this thing is off.
Yeah.
Feels good.
So let's say you're around the house instead. Like, are you more of a non-amputee person, or you keep a leg on all day
Dude, that's
for
such a
everything?
phenomenal question. So I'm 36 now. When I was younger, and I have two children, when I was younger, my mom would tell you I'd hop around the house, no leg on,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very lucky. I can actually put weight on my residual limb, on my stump, so I can weight bear. But now,
Okay.
I always have my leg on. The only time I don't have it on is like in the middle of the night. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm not putting my leg on.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the only time. Other than that, I usually always have my leg on.
No, I mean, I also know that you're an athlete and you use a wheelchair, which is really interesting. You also use the arm braces. So, like, do you use arm braces or that's it more for sports?
No, no. For sports? Oh, you mean for crutch, arm crutches?
Yeah, crutches,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I played on Team USA for soccer, for amputee soccer. So we use forearm crutches in Team USA, and we wear no prosthetic. And in the wheelchair, I play some wheelchair basketball for some teams. So that's really the only time that I'm in a wheelchair.
Ah, okay. So you don't, so I'm assuming you don't own your own arm crutches or wheelchair. They're just
Yeah, I
given to
have
you.
my own, but I don't use them on a daily basis. I only use them in competing.
No, so you're saying that your prosthetics are comfortable, that you can just basically be in it all day long and not worry about it too much.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are days where it's like I might just want to use the crutches, but then that's a lot of work too. I would prefer to have my leg on because it just it makes it a lot easier, and it also frees up my hands and things like that. I'm
Yeah.
usually a busy guy, so I'm kind of always on the go. But there are days where it's like, yo, I don't even want to put this leg on. I don't even want to see this leg, you know? So I go through that too, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I get it. I guess the first thing you wake up is like you have to put the leg on. Like, but like how I guess how quick can you put a leg on? Like 10 seconds, 5 seconds?
Not that quick. I mean, I wish I could slip it on that quick. Maybe it takes me about a minute to 2 minutes to put my leg on. I've got it down, mastered. Maybe a minute
Yeah.
to two.
Yeah. Well, I just assume like you put like lotion on, you put I don't know if you put powder on, but like you have to sock. Like
Yeah.
you want to do it right because I know that if you let's say skip a step, you might fuck up, and the last thing you want is like a cut. Like in that cut, it could be a bitch for the next 2 weeks because you need your leg.
Yes. Like literally, if you don't put it on the right way, you can feel it, and while you're stepping, and then you're uncomfortable. Yeah, you can have breakdown. So then you might have to stop and
I
reset.
don't know.
So it doesn't make sense to even rush. Doing it. Just like do it right the first time, so you can go about your day.
Well, I'm assuming it's worse during the summertime with like the sweat and shit.
Crazy, crazy. Yeah, I sweat a lot.
Like,
So me specifically, I sweat a lot. So it's annoying to have to take your leg off throughout the day, maybe carry a towel with you, wipe it down, and
mm,
then keep going. Yeah, it's not the best time. We need something for technology for that. So anybody out there who's listening, we're still working on that to kind of alleviate the sweat issue out there.
yeah, man, you're also an athlete, so that's a lot of sweat there. So like, I know you are. So let's just brag about you a little bit. So I have here you are a triathlete ranking 21 in the world for PTS4
Yep, I'm actually
and
currently
5th in the
16th
United
now.
States.
Now I'm 16th now.
Oh, you didn't make an
I
update?
gotta
Oh,
update
bro,
it.
you gotta
Yes,
make
sir. I
another.
gotta
Oh.
update that.
Yeah, holy shit, bro. That's great. I mean, damn, and then yeah, and then you mentioned like you're a USA amputee soccer player, USA para athlete, USA sitting volleyball, A2 player, a para Spartan competitor. Like it's that's really impressive.
Thank
Like
you.
I can just assume you can't take a leg off and you just gotta deal with whatever pain or what it is. Like, is there like a chance it could just fall off too, or
Oh
like
yeah.
if someone pulls on it?
Yeah, 100%. So in triathlon, yes, because you have like three different legs. Your leg could slip off. You're so sweaty. You're swimming. You're biking. You're running. So you want
Wait, you have three different legs for
I
your
usually come with two. I
triathlete?
usually come with two legs, and I don't swim with a leg in the water. So I usually have two legs in triathlon.
So someone has to like I'm assuming be at the checkpoint, but then why do you have two legs then? Like
Yep. So I have my
what?
running
What?
leg that I'll use,
Okay,
and a biking leg.
that's the one with the blade,
Yep,
right?
the one with the blade. So I use that. I actually use, let's say, this leg when I get out the water, and then when I get to my bike, I put on my regular leg with the bike shoe, and then when I come back to
Okay.
run, I put this one back on.
Okay. That's oh, so you don't even have time to like prepare your leg. You just gotta go
Oh,
through
you
it.
got to go
Oh my
fast,
god.
man. It's all about speed, 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 speed. Get the leg off, get the other leg
Yeah.
off.
I mean to be number 16 in the world, that's really
Thank
good.
you, my brother.
You
Thank
know,
you.
yeah. That that 1 minute really counts.
It's not even 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I mean, everything counts, brother. Every moment counts.
Damn. I mean, yeah. I mean, there should be a quick way. Too bad they aren't like a magnetic leg or something. You can just put it magnetized on it.
I know.
Good to
I'm
go.
pretty fast with the change in the legs, so that's not it. I got to get faster at the bike. That's what I got to get faster at. But everything else I got kind of pretty set at. Oh, but I mean, the other sports I've been able to play, like volleyball, soccer, you actually don't wear your prosthetic, so that's always a good thing. It's no legs. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
So, do you feel naked without the prosthetic?
No, I actually enjoy it because I have it on so much that I call my
Okay.
stump, my leg. I like to let it breathe a little bit. So it's actually good when it's not on. Let it get some fresh air.
Yeah. I mean, you could call it your third leg or something like
Yeah,
that. I don't
exactly. Well,
know.
yes, yes. We always have those jokes, those third leg jokes.
No. Yeah. So, but it seems like so. Do you put more stress on your lower half or your upper half? Because a lot of your sport involves a lot of your upper half, like the arm rests, the arm braces, the damn, I forgot the word for it. Like the wheelchair and stuff. So like you must have a lot of upper body strength too.
Yeah, definitely
Like
have some good upper body strength. The real strain actually comes on my left leg, which is my sound leg, my full leg. That I have
ah,
arthritis in that knee, all the years of overcompensating and putting so much pressure on it.
mm,
That's actually the body part that has been most affected.
is that a problem that you compensated for? I mean, I know it's probably a natural thing, but that a problem that you created yourself and you just always relied on it and never worked on something else, or does it come along with having a prosthetic leg?
So it does come along with having a prosthetic, but if you're educated properly, which when I was younger I was not, about balance and about taking care of the leg, stretching it, it was always strong, but I relied on it, and you didn't want to. I didn't. You don't want to rely on one leg. I had a prosthetic,
Mm-hmm.
so I should have been having my. I should have had a better balance. Now I have a
Okay.
trainer. I have a nutritionist. I have people around me who help me build up the muscles in that leg to help support some of the weaker muscles, which has done tremendous work for me as an athlete. And some of the pain is obsolete, but it does come back here and there.
Yeah, I'm assuming your trainers are all drill sergeant and just yell the shit out of you
Yeah,
until you get it
sometimes, yeah, they're
right.
on my butt. Yeah, they're on my butt.
Nah, but it's all good. They just want you to be good for yourself. I feel like we need that a lot in the disability community. I feel like we're a little bit too soft, and like I can understand like you're fragile mentally and like you want to be supported, but like I was talking to a therapist and she made a good point. So there are some people that like to be held, and there's some people that like to be pushed, and like everyone likes to be held, but at some point someone just has to push you to do stuff, kind of like a bird out of the nest. The mom just pushes you out, and like you're gonna fly or you're gonna die, kind of that.
Yes,
But yeah, I think a lot of this disability community you just gotta like do it yourself, or other thing like they're waiting for like an example to show up to say like, oh, they can do it, I can do it too, or some motivation. But I always fight for like you don't really, if you don't see someone, like, why don't you just be the first person that does anything? And then two, motivation comes from yourself. Like, if you don't want to do it, that's fine, but you're gonna limit your life and yourself. And I'm like, why do you want to do that to yourself? Like, don't you want to live? 'Cause at the end of the day, you're kind of living for yourself. Like, if you want to climb a mountain, like, you gotta climb it. Like, no one else gonna do it. Sure, there are some people who are privileged to have, motivational friends or family to support them, but like, I don't have anyone to really support me, and I've been doing everything on my own. While yes, it's hard, but like you can do it. Like you just gotta believe in yourself, and I think that's lacking a lot in the disability world. I'm sure you come across those
of
people all the
course.
time.
Of course, of course. And I think that's why things what you're doing, it's an honor to just kind of be on your podcast. Keep bringing more
Mm-hmm.
awareness to our community. We need more voices. and we need to breathe confidence.
We need more men voices.
Yeah.
That's really lacking.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think for me personally, I think it's across the board. I just think we need more voices in general. And for 'cause, like, I'm in the amputee or the prosthetic world. I have a lot of friends who are Down syndrome, CP, whatever it may be. But I think as a community, we just need to show the strength. And I'm with you, the pity party. It's not really. It doesn't need to be a pity party. We need to uplift each other and know that, hey, we might be a little different, but we're capable. And that's my message always. Anything's possible, and push yourself, even if it's a hard push. Again, people do need to be helped, but they also need to be pushed too. So I co-sign
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, anyone needs to be called a little bitch, let us know. I will definitely call you a little bitch to help you out.
I'll send them your way. I got you. I'll send them to you.
Yeah. So let's talk about your nonprofit. So like, what do you think is the biggest hurdle for anybody to get a prosthetic leg?
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate enough to run a nonprofit with a great friend of mine. His name is Rob Shulman, based out of Queens, New York. He started this organization called LimCon and brought me into it from day one. And what we do is we help kids all around the world who aren't able to afford these prosthetic devices, which range from 10 to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And
Oh my
we've gone to
God.
Philippines, we've gone to Africa, we've gone to Haiti, and we raise money in the United States. And we go and we make these prosthetics, custom prosthetics for these kids. Where I've met kids who've gotten their legs bitten off by hyenas or machete,
Oh my God.
and have been in the most unseen, horrific situations. They live in huts, they're malnourished, they need food, they need help. And so we've gone, raise money, and try to help these kids all around the world. And someone who doesn't come from much myself, taking our mission worldwide is just a dream come true to be able to provide that next future leader with opportunity.
I know as a kid, like you're growing and such, so isn't that really hard to help kids because, like like clothes, like you grow out of clothes, like don't you grow out of limbs, I guess, in like a year or two?
Man, that's an amazing question. Yes. So that's why we actually have now been going back to the countries. If we saw the kid 2 years ago and trying to get them a better fitting prosthesis, but some of these kids, they might have gotten a leg 6 or 7 years ago. When I was a kid, I needed a new
Oh
leg
my God.
every year or year and a half. So that's also part of our mission, that to try to help some of these kids who might have only gotten one leg when they were 10 and now they're 14 and they need a better fitting leg so they can't walk. So that's also part of it, trying to get some of these kids into a good fitting prosthesis if they may have had one before in the past. And we also do some of that here in the States as well for undocumented or uninsured patients.
I mean, it must be really hard because I'm just assuming that every leg is kind of unique to that person, so you can't really share or like reuse them. It's kind of like once you outgrow or it doesn't fit you, it's kind of like a useless leg, right?
So yes and no. So the socket, which is custom to the person's limb, you can't put on someone else. But the feet or the components you can. I'm also a global ambassador for an organization called Penta, which is called Penta Medical Recycling. And what we do is we take old prosthetic parts and components, and then we actually send them to different countries and allow them to maybe use the foot or the sleeves or certain things, the adapters, the pylons, to maybe help someone who needs the parts. So Penta Medical Recycling is great at taking those old parts and still being
Mm-hmm.
able to use them instead of throwing them away.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. Like, it's just, yeah, it just sucks that everything is custom and you can't reuse them like it was. No, and I'm sure everyone had a different, the way that, like you mentioned hyena, it was a really badass story. It sounds way better than just having some disease where you just have to lose it. I'm sure you could lie about your story and say, oh, I was surfing and got bit by a shark and some bunch of.
I do. I
But
do
yeah,
that
it's
to
really
kids
tough
all the
to.
time. Like I try to scare the kids. They say, "Oh, what happened to your leg?" If I'm being funny, I'm like, "Oh, a shark bit it." Things like
Yeah,
that.
and no, it's a badass. Yeah, and then, well, yeah, it's tough because there's so many different surgery, and no, even the same surgeon would never cut the same leg twice, so it's always had to be a little bit different, and like everyone, and it's also weird, like everyone kind of had a different challenge of things. Because I know some were deal with a prosthetic fine all the time, and some have like a lot of problems. I like I'm sure you're familiar with Lit Gel on Instagram.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, like I remember she was telling her story where like she had to get surgery to remove her leg, but then something happened where she was like in a lot of pain. At first they like dismissed it like, oh, it's just some thing. And they, I think they like screwed up her surgery or something, and like they had to get it cut again. Like, and then like another prosthetic leg, and I'm sure dealing with insurance, they getting a new leg, it's really must be hell on earth to do.
It is.
Like I'm sure you have like a time where like you can only get one leg per 3 years, and it's like maybe on year two, and you're like, fuck, like what do I do? And you say 10 to 100 grand per leg. That's insane to me.
It's so crazy, and so insurance companies, there are a lot of loopholes and things that we try to work on. I'm a part of an initiative called So Everybody Can Move, where we're trying to
Hmm.
pass some of the insurance issues through legislation, even not only regular
Okay.
prosthetics, but also sports prosthetics, especially for children, so they can run and can be active without having to pay out of pocket because it's so expensive. So there are so many people out there fighting for some of these initiatives. I'm very blessed to be a part of them and just use our voice and our platforms to help people have regular lives as much as possible and be able to do things that everyday other civilians have access to.
Hmm. I mean, it also must be hard because I was just thinking, like, let's say I was a prosthetic and I needed one and I needed to like buy stuff. I'm just thinking I could go like on eBay and buy like a prosthetic leg, and it's just, and I'm sure the brace part is cheaper to do. But then I was just thinking, like, let's say I need a leg, the challenge I have to find something that fits my size. You know, I can't if I'm 6 foot and I lost, I don't know, let's say inches of my leg, I can't get a 5 inch prosthetic. I need a 6 inch, or I mean, I don't know how much um the braid adds to it, but like assuming I would need like a 5 or 6 inch thing too
Yep.
to accommodate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So it's again, it's case by case because, like you said, if depending on your height, depending on your weight, so everything is very specific, and yeah, and that's why it has to be custom to kind of go around the patient.
Well, I guess I'll end up with this question. So I know weight could be a big thing, and that things I know you probably can't say like go lose some weight, but it would definitely help you. But like I would weight, I feel like being skinnier helps tremendously. Of not finding, of finding, of getting a leg that fits you well, but also weight distribution and even I guess like skin issue too. I think that would help so much, right? Like weight could be a big factor.
That's huge, my brother. So, and the reason why is because I think as people, with even not again in the disability community, our weight is so important. The things that we eat and we consume mentally and physically affect us, and so our consumption needs to be regulated. If you're in a prosthetic, and let's say we fit you at one size, but you gain weight, your leg is going to be tighter, and it's going to be miserable to walk.
Hmm.
If you lose weight, your leg will shrink a little bit. We can put socks and things to fill it in, but yes,
Yeah.
weight. We know that weight will fluctuate, so we take that into accountability. But of course,
Okay.
it's easier to walk with the less weight that you carry, like a runner.
Yeah.
The thinner you are, the faster you are, because you don't have to carry all that weight. But
Hmm.
nutrition and what we consume is so important. That I think we've missed some of that, and a lot of my patients have health issues because of their diet. So dieting is imperative in all of our lives, but especially if you have a prosthetic and you're trying to walk properly and have the strength, to go about your everyday life.
Yeah. I mean, just a lot of people don't realize that balance, like everyone kind of takes it for granted, but balance in itself requires a lot of energy to do. And like most of us just take it for granted, like, oh, just standing up is easy. And it requires a lot of balance, especially the people that are like, let's say, lost a lot of muscle and such, like, it requires a lot. And I can't imagine if I was fatter, like, I don't even think I could be able to stand at all. Just balancing my weight alone and then adding like 50 pounds to it, it would be almost impossible. And it is a whole nother conversation, but yeah, I can't imagine people wanting to wear like a 50 pound anything a weight. Like I feel like you want to be in good shape. I feel like that helps so much. It's such a tricky topic right now. Like you can't say someone's fat because I'm like, oh, like it's not a big issue, but I feel like it's a bigger issue. They just don't want it. Either people hear it and they don't want it, or they're just not told. And like they think it's okay now, but like what happens in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? It's not gonna work. It's gonna work against you. It's not the human body is not supposed to handle 20, 30, 50 pounds of extra weight. Like if I wore a 50-pound vest, that's a lot of weight. Like, but like most people don't think that. They just think, oh, I'm just 20 pounds overweight.
So
No,
your
it's,
leg
it's a
is
lot.
naturally like 14 pounds of your body, but you don't realize it because it's attached to you. You know, your actual
Yeah.
leg. The prosthetic leg may weigh 7 to 9 pounds, depending on the components you have, how high you're amputated, and so on and so forth. But it
Okay.
never weighs as much as your real leg. The only difference is that it's like the pendulum system, that it's an attachment. When you have two legs, it's already attached to you, so you don't feel that weight. But when the device is on you, you can feel gravity pulling it down. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why it might feel heavier or not. But the prosthetic is never as much as your real leg ever weighed.
Now you brought good up with good. I'm sure they already solved this problem, this question, but like, would a heavier leg help more in terms of? 'Cause I know you say like you compensate, you're on your other leg, but what if your prosthetic leg was heavier? Like, would it kind of like compensate for you to use that leg more, or would it just screw you over even more?
So it needs to be evenly distributed and maybe a tad bit heavier. I did a study with Stony Brook University about this exact very thing. If your leg is too light, you will actually put more weight on your residual limb and not on your prosthetic. So it does need to
Okay.
be almost evenly distributed and actually a little bit heavier, a tad bit.
Okay, well, you know you should. You're the perfect guy to do prosthetics. So before I take the mic away from you, is there anything you want to say, promote, any words of wisdom, the winning lottery numbers? The mic is all yours.
Let's do it. I'm all in.
Yeah, the mic is all yours. Do whatever. This is your 2 minutes of whatever.
So for me, personally, I would just say one, thank you so much for having me on your show. I love what
Mm-hmm.
you're doing, and I believe
This is about you. Talk about yourself. I'm good.
no,
I'm
man,
good.
this. Hey, this is my 2 minutes. You gave me my 2 minutes now. This is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
I'll give you another 30 seconds.
Yo,
Okay,
listen,
go.
listen. I appreciate you so much. Seriously, we need
Mm-hmm.
people like you who are real, who are authentic. You know, and for me personally, that's it, man. I just want people to lead with love and love themselves. We don't need to change who we are or what we look like. We need to just continue to make ourselves the best versions of us. We don't need to be anybody else. Just be yourself, and the world and the universe will accept us and love us for that. And man, I'm just honored to be here. Thank you for giving me the platform to share my story and
Mm-hmm.
having these great questions. And I'm looking forward to having a great week with you next week, my brother. Let's do it in person.
Hell yeah, bro. We're gonna kill it.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Thank you everyone so much for giving me your time. Thank you, Robert, for giving me your time and expertise. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. All the links to Robert will be in the description below, and I'll see everyone next time. Bye.
Thank you.